he deserves a chance to fight for a world title.
Jake Paul did get fatigued down the stretch, but
Jake Paul's win over stirred up a wave of mixed reactions across the boxing community. Gave Jake credit, tweeting, "Jake did his thing and outboxed Canelo Alvarez." Legend Shane Mosley also commended Jake's performance, noting his movement and great fight. However, Canelo Alvarez held back on Chavez, labeling his behavior and suggesting it might be time.
Still throwing great punches, and for the experience he had, he did fantastic. Junior, on the other hand, he didn't throw any punches until the third or fourth round or something. He was just kind of walking forward, and I don't know what he was doing. It was weird. It was weird to see that type of fighting, but anywho, that's not Jake Paul's fault. So Jake Paul did what he needed to do, and he won, and he looked good.
Where do you think Junior goes from here, in your opinion, Shane?
Junior needs to retire from here.
Junior needs to retire.
He needs to retire. I mean, if you can't throw any punches in 2, 3, 4 rounds, you need to retire.
For him to retire, fans and analysts largely shared this view. Many were impressed by Jake's improvement in the ring, while others, Canelo Alvarez, questioned his future in the sport after such an underwhelming performance. Jake Paul's win over Canelo Alvarez taking to social media to slam the event. "I had a better fight with..."
Feels like after all he's been through, so I tip my hat off to him. It's not easy, especially through what life throws at you sometimes. But it was a good fight.
What'd you make of how Jake Paul looked and fought?
He's doing his thing. Jake Paul's looking good. Shout out to him. Yeah.
Do you think he's ready to fight maybe a top 15, top 20?
Sure. Yeah.
So I guess where does
Jake Paul on Thursday than the unwatchable farce that took place tonight. He wrote, "The guy's lining his pockets with buckets of Canelo Alvarez, but he's killing boxing with this boring stage bull against older fighters way past their prime." In stark contrast, Rising had high praise for Jake's performance in a post-fight interview, that Jake thing and looked sharp from start to finish. But what truly turned heads was Canelo Alvarez's statement that Jake deserves to be ranked.
Jake Paul looked really good. I think he won all the rounds. I mean, it's good for boxing. I think he deserves a chance to fight for a world title. He proved it today with the ex-world champion, Julio Cesar Chavez, that, he dominated and he did really good.
What did you think of Chavez's performance? Early on, he didn't throw a lot, and then towards the end, he had some moments. Were you disappointed in Chavez?
Well, I thought, he was going to try to get Jake Paul a little tired. He was blocking and taking all his shots, but I think he just...
Among the top 15 to 20 fighters in his division, coming from an active pro, that kind of recognition signals a major shift in perception. Jake is no longer seen merely as a YouTuber trying his luck in the ring. He's starting to be respected as a legitimate contender who's earning his place through results, not hype. Adding to the growing wave of Canelo Alvarez, father and trainer of top contender, had high praise.
Whenever I know this is my toughest opponent yet, maybe not the biggest name opponent yet, but it's still going to be a super, super good fight. So make sure everyone pull up Anaheim, California, Ticketmaster.com. Be there, baby.
I was going to say that, do you think this is the toughest opponent? Obviously, he's still a guy who was, he's not all that old. He's got a ton of fights. He's got, I think, 61 pro fights. Think this is the toughest challenge for you if you take everything into consideration?
Yeah, taking everything into consideration and how hard he's training behind the scenes, people saying that this is the most serious he's ever taken a fight, and the fact that he's a former world champion, 30-something knockouts, and I think he wants to put...
For Jake Paul's performance after watching the fight, said Jake looked impressive and even floated the idea of a future showdown between Jake and his son, Canelo Alvarez. He stated that Jake now deserves a shot at a world title, coming from a trainer who has worked with elite-level fighters. This endorsement marks a significant shift in how Jake is being viewed within the boxing world, not just as a celebrity attraction, but as a serious competitor earning respect on merit. Boxing commentator Showbiz the Adult, widely respected for his deep knowledge of the sport and sharp, no-nonsense analysis, added his voice to the conversation. Following Jake Paul's victory over Julio Cesar Chavez.
This fight, Chavez got active. effective in them last 3 rounds, and he really showed his power. But throughout most of the fight and throughout those first 5 or 6 rounds, right, most of us were saying, is Chavez here to fight or not? Because he was not throwing very much at all. And then you thought maybe the strategy is let Jake Paul get tired because he's not used to going 10 rounds, and then maybe in those last couple rounds you could get him. But Jake Paul did get fatigued down the stretch, but he still held on. He looked well even in the final 3 rounds when Chavez was pouring it on enough to get over the top. I'd say it's impressive considering Chavez Jr. is a former champion for Jake Paul. Probably going to get a title shot soon. My question to y'all is, what did y'all think of the fight? When Chavez first came out, man, I'm like, he's not throwing.
It like it is. Showbiz offered a perspective that challenged the narrative many fans still cling to, one that views Jake Paul as a YouTuber playing boxer rather than a serious fighter. In his post-fight commentary, Showbiz made it clear that Jake has developed far more than casual fans are willing to acknowledge. He pointed out that the majority of Jake's critics continue to judge him based on where he started, rather than where he is now. People still see the influencer who got into the sport for clicks.
In round 9, the heat really turned up. Did you feel the Mexican power that he promised, or do you feel like he didn't perform the way you thought that he would?
No, yeah, he brought a hard fight there at the end, and that's that Mexican warrior style. I don't know how he was eating all those punches, to be honest. My hands low-key hurt from his face, and so respect to him. He had good cardio, and he came on strong at the end.
He said, but they're missing the fighter who's worked his way into real form, real skill, and real poise under pressure. Showbiz emphasized that Jake's improvements aren't superficial or manufactured. They come from discipline, hard work, and legitimate training, something that's evident when you study his performances. From a technical standpoint, according to Showbiz, Jake's footwork, timing, and ability to control the pace of a fight have all evolved significantly. This isn't a guy who's just throwing wild punches anymore, he explained.
Very, very strong guy, had a lot of power, but people underestimate my chin and my ability and my toughness.
Jake, Jonathan Agger of Pro Boxing Fans. During the week, you had a viral interview with Piers Morgan where he said that he didn't think that you would beat Chavez. He felt like when you fight a former world champion, you'll come unstuck. What did you prove to not only him but other people that have criticised you?
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, actions speak louder than words, so people can sit behind their desks and sit on their TV shows and say a lot of things about my career, but everyone's tuning in, everyone's watching, and I just continue to win.
And you mentioned Anthony Joshua. Does it end there? Would you want to bring Tyson Fury out of retirement?
Man, there's too many people for me to fight. I need more time.
Jake is reading opponents, setting traps, and managing distance like a seasoned professional. One of the most striking points Showbiz made was about Jake's ring IQ. While power and conditioning are important, he argued that Jake's ability to make and fight adjustments and remain composed under pressure is what sets him apart from others making the leap into boxing. From different backgrounds, he's not just a better athlete.
Who think they know about the sport, put some respect on my name.
Yeah, but you're not going to get... Look, you're going to make a ton of money. Listen, I think as a businessman, you are brilliant, right? I give you full credit for that. When you took on Mike Tyson as a business enterprise, there's no argument. You absolutely crushed the numbers, crushed the money, and everything else. But the idea that you can say on the one hand, I'm a killer, I get in the ring with the best people.
Now he's a better thinker in the ring, Showbiz said. Showbiz also addressed the stigma Jake still faces in the boxing world. Despite back-to-back wins over legitimate, if faded, professionals like Anderson, Silva, Nate Diaz, and now Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., some fans and analysts continue to question his legitimacy. But Showbiz believes that line of thinking is becoming harder to justify. You don't have to like how he got here, he said.
Jake is gonna fight Canelo. I think you would kill him. But then you're like, oh, you're not fighting this guy. You're the problem here with this whole situation and criticism of my career. I'm trying to fight the best people, and that's why Chavez is here on Saturday. I want Canelo. I want Anthony Joshua. I want all these people. It's been 5 years in this sport.
But the problem is, the only proper boxer you fought with...
But you have to respect what he's done with the opportunity. Plenty of people come into boxing with money and fame, very few turn it into real skill. In closing, Showbiz made one thing clear: the conversation around Jake Paul needs to change. It's no longer just about hype or viral moments.
And I couldn't afford what Jake's got. What I would be doing is watching what he's doing. Now you might think that is absolutely crazy. Why would I want to watch Jake Paul? Well, because like I said, he's got the best equipment, he's got the best trainers, he's got the best team that money can buy. If you can take snippets of that for in your training, you know.
It's about a guy who has taken this sport seriously and put in the work. Whether you love him or hate him, Jake Paul is no longer a sideshow, he's a legitimate fighter. Coming from someone who has spent years breaking down the nuances of boxing, Showbiz's endorsement carries weight. It's a reminder that respect in this sport is earned not just with talk, but with timing, toughness, and technical growth, and Jake Paul is starting to check those boxes.